Tracy Summers. I'm with Cogent, and I brought my associates with me, Elaine and Dylan.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for meeting with us today. We know that you're pressed for time, so you may just see us glancing at our phones to check the time.
I appreciate that.
Certainly, absolutely. All right, now, I don't know what you know about Cogent.
Nothing.
Well, good. We're going to explain that. We're going to go into all of that detail. But before we even get there, we want to tell you first off that we help businesses, and we're here to help you. We're here to help Cinemark. So we're going to explain how we do that. But before we even get into that piece, we want to find out some information from you, because that helps us help you.
Okay.
So first off, we're going to ask you, Mrs. Smith, what should a customer of Cinemark expect when they go to the movies? What kind of experience should they expect?
Well, it should be a great experience, obviously. An experience good enough to make them come back again.
Like a great big movie experience, right?
Yes, not
Okay.
something they can get at home in front of their TV.
Right. Exactly. That's what we thought you'd say. All right. Now, we love the movies too. And, you know, back in the 1950s and the 1960s, really the only way you could go watch a movie was if you went to the theater.
The good old days.
Right, the good old days, absolutely. Right there with you. Now, today though, there are all kinds of options for those of us who love to watch the movies. So with that in mind, well, and before I even go there, let me just tell you that there are some reports that show that the decline,
I'm not gonna like this now.
I know you're not going to, but it's not that bad. Well, it's the decline though. There is a decline in the number of, or the percentage of the population who are going to the theater to watch the movies. So with that in mind, now you don't even have to think about that. You may have already known anyway. But let's think about this. Since there are other options out there for watching the movies, what are your executives doing there at Cinemark to make you stand out from your competition, or to set you apart from your competition?
Well, we've been having conversations about possibly having internet sales available so people can rent movies. We've talked about things like selling alcohol in our movie theaters, expanding our food offerings, things like that.
Okay. Well, those are interesting, and that's actually a good start. This is sort of where we come in. We come up with different ideas on what can help you out, but the reason I ask you what you guys are actively doing is it's really important to set yourself apart from your competition. You know, everyone knows Cinemark. You're already at the top of the game. You know, you're #1 in box office profits. I don't have to tell you that your financial report that just came out in February shows you guys did great in 2013.
Yeah,
Well, we all know that. Well,
Great of
there's-
much smaller margin than it used to be. So.
Right. Well, we're going to help you out with that piece, okay? So, so let's think about this. If you're setting yourself apart, but it's really not anything that's totally unique compared to your competition. You know, your competition is right at your heels, because if they're smart, they're chasing after you guys, because you guys are right at the top of the game. But we'd like to keep you there. But what you're doing, is it enough to keep you there? And this is just something for you to think about, because, you know, you may think, well, it wouldn't happen to us, you know, we're probably going to be okay because you guys are doing so well. But if we just look at Blockbuster, for instance, 7 years ago, they were doing absolutely great. They were at the top of their game. If you were going to rent a movie, you'd go to Blockbuster because it was the place to go. But if you look around today, there are very few Blockbuster stores. And it's not because we stopped watching the movies. It's because their competition came in with some great ideas and knocked them out of the game. So it can happen, and that should be enough to really make you want to hear what we can do to help you out. But let me also mention something else here to you. You mentioned that you're coming up with some ideas for your customers, and maybe offering some alcohol and some online rentals and different things like that, some ideas. But how do you know what your customer actually wants? How are you getting your information to tell you what they want?
There's no way to know what your customer wants.
Exactly.
We don't know. We make our best guesses based on what we can observe. And we don't know.
Right, I agree with you. There's really no way, unless you have data about your customers, or unless you know your customers. And with a place like Cinemark, I mean, you guys have got customers all across the United States, all across America, you know. There's no way you know all your customers, but you know what? That's another way we come in, because we get this data. We get information, and we help you read through it so that you know your customers. Not only your customers, but your potential customers. Because, I mean, there are a lot more people out there than what are going to the movies. There are people that are watching movies in all different ways. So anyway, that's just something to think about there, okay? And when your executives are deciding that they're going to introduce alcohol, or they're going to introduce the online rentals or something else, how do you guys come up with those decisions? Do you base it off of history or success, or?
You mean, how do we predict trends?
Yeah, how are you predicting that?
You
Predicting
can't.
what you're
Nobody
doing?
can predict
Okay.
the future. That's just not possible. All we can do is look and see what our competitors are doing, and if it's working for them, assume that that might work for us as well.
Wow, okay. Well, let's think about that. Because if your competitors are doing, you don't want to be chasing after your competitors. You want to stay at the top of the game. Let them chase you. You know, let us help you come up with some ideas that really make you unique, you know? Something more than what you're thinking. Let's think bigger picture. I mean, there are all kinds of options out there. I bet you Blockbuster never thought it would happen to them. And they never thought about these ideas that came up from their competitors. But, I mean, it's just knowing the data, having the data, and being able to read through it. And here's another thing to think about. If you're just making these decisions off of, hey, this is what someone else is doing, or this is what this person's doing, and it's working for them, it might not be the best decision. Like, for instance, Coca-Cola, just 15 years ago, they were doing great. They came up with this new product. It's called New Coke. And you know what? You know, they thought, well, it's going to go over great. Nobody wanted it. They couldn't even sell the stuff. And that was a marketing catastrophe. They invested all kinds of money on that product, resources, time, all the effort that went into that product, and it was a waste. It was a marketing catastrophe because of someone's bad decision, because that person didn't have enough data. And that's why you need someone like Cogent to help you through this. It'll help your executives make really good data-based decisions. That's what you need, because we want to help you guys stay at the top of the game, set yourself apart, and help you guys make really good executive decisions.
So selling alcohol might be a catastrophic decision.
And I'm not sure about that, but you know what?
That's the problem.
Well, but you know what? That's where we come in, because we can find out information about your customer base. But we can think bigger than that too. There are all kinds of ideas. We've got some ideas. And before we even talk about the ideas, Elaine's going to tell you a little bit more about our company and what we do.
Yes, I am. Okay, so as Tracy mentioned earlier, we can help you figure out what your customers want. So we provide you with actionable data. So this data is something that you can perform an action on, something that you can look at and know wholeheartedly that you have enough data to make a good decision on. So we believe data quality is critical. So if you have bad data, then making a decision based off bad data is just as bad as making a decision with no data, because you may not have the whole picture. Now, do you remember Nokia's N-Gage?
No.
That's okay, because it was a colossal failure.
Okay.
What Nokia did was they noticed a trend in the gaming community. This was about 10 years ago when cell phones were first coming out and we still had the Game Boy going on. Well, they noticed that gamers were carrying around both a Game Boy and a cell phone. So they had this brilliant idea that they were going to combine handheld systems and cell phones. They thought they were giving their customers exactly what their customers wanted. Well, they came out with the N-Gage and they were expecting it to completely revolutionize the gaming community. And the gaming community hated it. They thought they were giving their customers something their customers wanted, and their customers wanted no part of it. So we want you to make sure that you are giving your customers what they really want. So Nokia made a decision based on impartial data, or they were just looking at a trend and they didn't have any real hard data. Now, right now, that's what a lot of executives are doing. They're just relying on their intuition. According to a report that just came out, nearly half of executives are relying on their intuition and are not relying on hard data. Now, I mentioned earlier quality data. So what makes data good quality? Well, the report that I mentioned earlier points to 3 factors that make data good quality. One is unimpeded access to the data, so always having easy access to your data. Next is timely delivery of your data, because if data is delivered late, then you can't make a decision in time and you may lose the opportunity entirely. And lastly is ease of access to analytical tools, or basically just being able to understand your data, because sometimes you get numbers and you look at the numbers and you're like, I don't know what this means. So we can help you improve your data. First, we can collect all your data and bring it into one place, because as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have access to your data, you can't really use that data, can you? So what we'll do is we'll first pull all the data that you already have into one place, so it's much easier to access it. This will also allow you to view all your data as a whole. So instead of having parts of your data, you now have access to all your data, so you can make sure that you're not missing any key points that would entirely change your decision that you're about to make. Next, we would update your data. Your data might be old, so it might be based on old models of analytics. So we update it and apply it to the newest models of analytics, so it's now up to date and more applicable to today's standards. Next, we look at your data and figure out what you're missing. What sources are you not pulling from? So once we figured that out, we start collecting data from new sources and from old sources, but you just don't have the most up-to-date data. So for new sources, we can mine into social media, which may not have been around when you were last collected data. So that's how we can help you update your data. We update your old data and then we bring you new data. And Dylan will further explain how we can data mine new sources for you.
So, using social media as the main source of data to help your company out, one of the things we can do with that is help you enhance your key performance indicators by informing them with information about people's preferences. So what are Cinemark's key performance indicators?
Well, primarily ticket sales, but if we drill down a little bit, ticket sales by the show, ticket sales by the time of day, ticket sales by the day, ticket sales by the age group.
I see. So sales are the main thing that,
Yes.
that inform your KPIs?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that social media offers is data about what we call initial data. It's what people post about themselves when they first start a profile. It's what they put on their profile. Along with socio-demographic information, they put stuff like what their favorite movies are, their favorite TV shows, favorite books, if they're in a relationship, what their political views are, and so on. Even where they live and where they went to school. What we can do with this is analyze the draw from the data from people that live around your theaters and analyze their what their favorite movies and books and music and things like that are, and chart for you what their favorite genres are in that area, so that you can make your movie selection based on that chart. So if let's take Denton for example. If you have the Cinemark here in Denton, we tested this model, and out of 5,000 people in Denton between the age of 20 and 50, we looked at their favorite, what they said their favorite books, TV shows, and movies are. And then we compared that data, and that's over the past year, and we compared that data to your movie selection for the past month, and we found that 20% of your movie selection, only 20%, matched the two top genres for those people in around your movie theater here. So imagine if we expanded that to include all people in Denton County, or all people within a 20-mile radius of all of your theaters, so that you can cater your movie selection in each of those theaters to the favored genres of the people in those areas. Because it varies. You know, we all know that there's more of this kind of people that live here, retired folks live here, so forth and so on. So you'll be catering your movie selection to the people around them. The second idea, or the second thing that you can do with social media is predict trends. Now you said earlier that there's just no way to do it, but you said that you try to observe people. What do you observe, or what are there anything? Is there anything that helps you inform that might give you an idea of what trends may be coming?
We do the same thing everybody else does. We read the trade journals. We, you know.
Okay. We think that social media can help you predict trends without having to wait on people to buy in other industries or to just buy at all. We do that by, we take the initial data that I mentioned and we cross-reference it with what we call frequent data, which is information that people post about themselves on a regular basis. And by cross-referencing that information, we can decide what trends are coming up that may just be a flash in the pan, and then other trends that may be really taking root and that you could profit from. Now, the main benefit from that is you don't have to wait on other industries to know what's going to happen in yours.
Mm-hmm.
So like the doorknob industry, they have to follow and watch the housing and the automobile industry because they're tied together. They just have to go along with it. But with data from social media, you don't have to wait for that. You can with our help, we can use our we can analyze the data in social media and tell you what trends are coming up, what flashes in the pan you might be able to profit from, and what you should avoid, and then those that will likely stay around for a while. And then finally, you mentioned earlier that well, I'll say that social media can answer the question of why. So you looked at the chart and you're seeing that the future of Cinemark is looking kind of insecure because while you're doing well, you're also degrading in profit, or you're losing profit over time, losing market share in the movie industry. Social media can answer the question of why. Why do people choose your movie experience over what they can get at home? Do you know?
No.
You don't know? And you know, we wonder why do they like popcorn when they come to the movie theater? Why don't they demand pizza or something else? Or why do they even eat? We can analyze data from social media to answer those questions. Why do people do what they do? Why do they leave their home, the comfort of their home, to come and experience your theater? And we know because we'll stake our reputation on this that we can use social media data to figure out those answers so that you don't end up like Blockbuster.
Exactly. Well, looks like we're just about out of time, but we've given you a lot to think about, but I know that you're going to work with us, and we're going to help you. I mean, we're going to make sure that you guys stay at number one. We mentioned a report to you earlier. I'm going to leave this report with you. This is just some of the information that we found. But let's set up something for within the next 2 weeks. What does your schedule look like?
I tell you what, I'll have my people get in touch with their people.
Okay. Okay.
Alrighty, well thank you very much for
Thank
your
you
time
very much.
today.
That was a lot of useful information.
Do you have any last minute questions?
I don't think so.
Alrighty.
Thank you.